for me, my get talk for me, black with a me, my walk talk for me, my whip talk for me, my get talk.
Welcome to the KYP podcast. My name is Danny. I'm here with my co-host
James Lee.
Kevin G.
and we have a returning guest.
Of course.
Back to back.
Karim, Atassi.
So last time we talked a lot more about your journey to what you are doing.
Right.
And I know Kevin was talking to us about, I got this guy. He's really great. Let's organize a meeting. But we actually never really got to sit down and actually do a podcast with you. And I think it brings up the wider topic of just, why don't people just do stuff? Why do we have to self-doubt ourselves and do things? And I think you as a personal development coach, like growth coach, you are really more action oriented towards people and less about think about the grander picture. Just do what you want to do and you'll find what you want to do.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know more about how do you make it so that your clients actually do the things, right? Because people are like, I can't never get a six pack.
Right. So
People,
you feel attacked. James feels attacked.
Yeah, a little jab right there.
First of all, I want to say for my voice, excuse my voice, lost my voice. But this is what I would say. One of the biggest reasons or the most common thing I see in my clients for why they develop the self-doubt is because they have a cognitive dissonance between their ideal self and their real self. So once you have a really big gap between your ideal self and real self, you'll feel so much anxiety regarding your current state. So for example, if you're somebody who never goes to the gym, right? And you're like, I need to go to the gym. And you search online, what's like the ideal amount of times going to the gym? Let's say it's 3 times. And you're like sitting at 0 times. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to start doing 3 times a week, And then you go 3 times the first week, and then the second week you don't go at all. You're like, you burn out. You're like, I can't do it anymore.
You're too sore.
And then you think you're a failure. But it's not because you're a failure. It's because the bar that you're trying to reach is so far from where you are. So I really, really, really believe in the Atomic Habits perspective by James Cart, which is very simple. Think about the next step. Literally, that's what I call my brand. I opened a coaching brand called Next Step before, but I came back to it as what I call it now. But it's really the philosophy. What is the increment? What is the thing that you could do today, right now, that would make you 1% better than what you were before? And if that means simply wearing your gym shoes and walking to the gym and not even going and gymming, if you could just do that once, that's just an increment.
3 times a week, maybe.
Or going. Actually, in Atomic Habits, he speaks a lot about that, of like trying to start with doing, like if you want to start a habit, do something that only takes you 2 minutes. Regarding that habit. So let's say if you want to start gymming, just go to the gym. Don't go work out. Just go visit the gym. Leave for like 3 weeks or 1 week. And then you're going to go, and once you're going to go to the gym, you're like, I'm here. Might as well work out. And then do that 2 to 3 times. So don't think about perfecting your standard. Rather focus on what is the next step in this ladder that from where I am that I could go to, that I know I could achieve. And I'll put it this way. What is the thing that you could do, that you know that you need to do, that you could do right now, that you're capable of doing? And if you can find that incremental 1%, then you focus on that only, and that's what I focus on.
Yeah. So, sorry, Kev. I was just going to say, and the gym example.
Right.
Like, because I've been going to CrossFit recently.
Nice.
For 2 months now. Because I put in my brain, I'm like, I'm going to get those abs. So what I did was, my girlfriend told me to do, because she needs to tell me what to do.
Sometimes, that's how it works.
Just fucking sign up.
Right.
Just pay the membership. Because that's an easy step, right? Because you're just clicking on your phone.
Absolutely.
And I was looking at the price. It's expensive, obviously, but I just did it. And then because I'm paying so much money, I'm like, okay, I have to fucking go.
You're tethered.
So I booked the session, and then I go. it was the hardest session of my life because the first session is always the hardest. Like I wanted to pass out. Like I wanted to.
I can imagine.
I felt nauseous.
Yeah, I don't know why people do CrossFit. That's like torture.
Intense, man.
So I did it, and then I've already done it a couple of times before prior to this.
Right.
But that one session was really rewarding. I loved it, and then so I booked it. I was super sore the next day, but I booked it maybe 4 or 5 days after, because I was so sore and like I pushed my body so hard, like it was hard for me to go again like the next day. But I'm like, I'll book it when I'm ready, when my body feels a bit rested. So I booked it on the 4th day. Then now I'm in like a 2-day period. So I go one day, take a rest, go the following.
Right.
And the thing about CrossFit, because once you're in that session for 45 minutes of intense workout, you're actually pushing your brain to keep fucking going, because there's a timer, right? So I'm going to F45. There's 45 seconds of workout, and then sometimes it's like 20-second rest or 10-second rest. But you got to keep fucking going, because the fucking coaches are looking at you like a military coach is like, hey, yo, keep fucking going. Let's go. Right. And then people around you, and there's all these Griffintown people, there's all these kinds of people, and they're going at it. So you're forced to fucking keep going, or else you look like a fucking pussy, right? Like, yeah. I see this chick, she's like lifting heavier than me, right? I'm like, oh shit, that hurts my ego. So I'm gonna go either heavier or the same, right?
Yeah.
And by doing those atomic habits, and by just within the workout, I'm pushing myself, and then also I'm pushing myself to book the session. Right. So it's like, that's why I love CrossFit, because there's multiple connections between how to push yourself to the limit, right?
Like the environment helps you take that first step of pushing, and then you have to, and then to keep going with it, you have to rely on your mentality now that's where the benefits to kind of being able to push your limits happen, right? Because when you're continuing to do it, the people around you can't help you. You're on your own. You're on your own.
Yeah.
And so I think Atomic Habits is like so key to just being consistent again, as we talked about earlier.
It allows you to passively get to your results.
Yeah, to where I want to be, right?
Right.
Yeah.
By doing it on autopilot. And what I mean by that is, if you only focus every day on what is the 1% change that I could do today, and that's all you're anxious about. It's all you're focusing on. And then if you think about it mathematically, there's always this like kind of 1.01 to the power of 365.
Yeah.
So if you do 1% every day for 365 days,
wow.
So 1.01 times the power of 365 is 27.
Yeah.
But if you do 1 to the power of 365, that's 1.
Yeah.
So you're 27 times the person you started.
Exactly.
If you only focus on 1% a day.
Yeah.
And imagine if I tell you you're 27 times better, like a 27x.
Bro, that's
James.
crazy. Yeah. Like I put $100, I get 2,700, right?
But if I tell you like a 27x James does 5 gyms a day, 5 gyms a week, eats healthy, blah blah blah, and you try to be that from day one, it's impossible.
No.
So you have a big difference between your ideal self and real self. So make your ideal self the 1% better version of you, not the superstar version of you.
So I mean, like, it's like climbing stairs, right? Let's say there's 100 stairs, and you're looking at the top. Yeah, you're not gonna be like, I'm gonna jump 100 stairs and I'm gonna reach there. You're gonna take that just one step to get closer, right? It's as simple as that. It's like when you're climbing stairs.
There's a Confucius has this description. I'll paraphrase of when you're climbing a mountain. Don't look at the top of the mountain. Look in front of you.
Exactly. Look at the ground.
Look at the ground.
Yeah.
So you look at the next step, because you look at the mountain, you're like, oh, so much.
It's so far.
To do it, you know.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, with the environment we live in today, it's so hard to get away from the cycle of instant gratification,
right?
Because we're touching about something. Yeah.
Because everything else, like in the material world, when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to food, Amazon shopping, you do something and you expect the result right away. You know, when I search something in Google, I expect this. When I,
ChatGPT.
go on Netflix, I know I want to watch a movie right now. I want to veg out right now. I want to eat this right now. Uber Eats. It's so easy to kind of like those things. I do it. I know what I'm going to get and I'm satisfied immediately. Whereas taking those steps to do 1% every day, you don't see the results next day, right? Like we're so used to seeing the results of like getting instant gratification for our efforts that I feel like, at least for me, in the past when I would go to the gym for a while and I don't see any change in my body, like 2 weeks in, I get very discouraged.
Right.
Like, yeah, let's go. Fuck this. Let's just go party.
Yeah.
Partying is gonna be fun. I know this is gonna be a great experience. I've done it a million times.
Yeah.
Right.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And because in that case too, your ideal self was a Kevin with a great body. But what if your ideal self was Kevin who
Goes to the gym no matter what.
or that's even crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Even
what
crazy.
about that's how many times do you gym a week?
So now I'm like at the very least 2 times.
2 times.
Yeah.
So say an ideal Kevin would go to the gym 3 times for 2 weeks back to back. Very doable. Just focus on that.
Setting the parameters a little more specific, a little more realistic.
Much more low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I would say about gratification, that's where the sauce is really, because
The problem.
that's really where I find the most difficulty in being able to realize if I'm advancing is that you don't see the results quickly, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things I've been struggling with is how do I measure the delta, the difference is 1%. And so that's why I think having a very microscopic what's it called, frame of reference of who you want, what your next step is. If it's very microscopic, then the resources around you and everything that is in your vicinity right now, you're gonna utilize towards achieving this. If I told you your ideal self is you going to the gym 3 times a week, okay, versus 2, just for 2 weeks straight, then you're all you're thinking about is achieving that. So that means that you're gonna maybe arrange your whole schedule to achieve that. You're gonna make your diet good to achieve that. If I tell you I want to have a 6-pack, like how am I gonna get a 6-pack if I'm eating McDonald's? Like, it's a very huge difference, right? But just focus on the next step.
If you focus on the next step,
Yeah.
it's not as burdensome of a change
Yeah.
to your daily
Can I
life.
say something? If you have one of those days where, this is my philosophy, it is normal as a human being to have those days where you're like, I call it the fuck it button. Fuck it, we're gonna go out.
Yo,
fuck
my
it.
fuck it button's jammed, man. Ba, 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 ba.
Should have a fuck it button for the podcast.
Yeah, let's not post this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Ever.
let's say you have that fuck it,
Yeah.
but you press the fuck it button.
Yeah.
Even on those days when you don't feel like it, what is something that you can do that you feel like that will fall within the threshold? So if I didn't go to the gym today, maybe I can rearrange my room or wash the dishes.
Yeah.
Go for a walk.
Yeah, whatever. Like, keep going down the list of options until you go like, okay, this I can do
Okay,
now.
I can. Okay,
Don't-
keep bargaining.
Don't do
keep
zero.
bargaining.
Don't do 0.
Don't 0.
Because 1 to the power of 365 is 1. With no 1 meaning like the baseline, adding nothing to it, you're gonna be the same. But if you just did 1.000001, power of 365 is still gonna get bigger than 1 at the
Wow.
end.
So what I do in the morning is making my bed.
Is that
I rec-
before or after you jack off?
So usually it's after the shower.
Like, I'm gonna edit that
Usually
one out.
after I jerk off in the shower, I'll get out of the shower and do my bed. No, I'm just kidding. But and it became a habit as completing goals. And then now at work, what I do is that I have like these Post-its. I write down the emails that I have to write,
Right.
and it's the to-do list. There's the in progress list and completed. So I have a bunch of to-do lists, right? And then if you just look at it as emails, you're fucking overwhelmed because there's like hundreds. But if you put it as a physical thing right at your desk, you see it.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, I'm starting my day. I'm taking this Post-it, putting in the in progress section, and I'm gonna do it. And then I do it. I put it in the completed, and then okay, what's next? Oh shit, I see another post-it that I want to do that's urgent. Do it. And then these are just the habits I'm doing at work. That's like, do it slowly.
Right.
And like materialize it and see, and just don't overwhelm your brain, because that's where it comes from. When you're overwhelming yourself with your top self, that where you want to be, you just feel so like overwhelmed because there's so much things you have to do to become that person.
Yeah.
But if you take it step by step, as you're saying with Atomic Habits, it's like just do one thing, that 1%,
Right.
complete it, and you're gonna feel good, and you're gonna do the next one.
Absolutely.
Right?
And to give you said it beautifully. To give a like physiological spin or like like clinical
Metaphysical, yeah. It's just like see it there.
angle. Yeah. I mean, like to give a clinical angle to this, or
Yeah.
scientific angle, but a visualization helps
Yeah.
you a lot with
Visualization.
it.
Yeah.
But to give a clinical angle to this,
Yeah.
you know, we said it in the last podcast, but when you're trying to make a new habit, you're trying to make connections between so let's say, for example, when you go to the gym, you're activating certain nerves in your brain to go do that process. That nerve A, nerve B, nerve C, nerve D, that a pattern gets activated every time you go to the gym. And you're trying to make the circuit stronger and stronger through every time you activate fire a nerve, it becomes stronger with its other nerves that it's connected to. The synaptic activation.
Yeah. This is all in your brain.
Right.
Okay.
So this is how, like, when you memorize something, you're able to recall it faster, right?
Yeah.
So if you keep feeding that circuit, even if it's minimal, then you have or to say it differently, if you have a minimal goal to make that circuit stronger, then it's more likely for you to grow it with time. If you go like, like I said, if you want it to be a 6-pack and you're like obese, very difficult, very far goals. But if you're like obese, never going to the gym, and you're like, today I'm going to read about the gym, or you just call a friend and ask him about gym, or go call the membership, just one
Just
thing.
get informed. Yeah. As easy as that.
Yeah, because eventually, if you keep doing that, time becomes your friend. You know, time, no matter. If I literally sat there and said that I have to do 1% better every day, and I was being very lazy, like, okay, today I'll just call gym memberships, call it a day. Okay, the next day, what are you going to do? Maybe you're going to have to sign up, you know?
Go
And
to
then-
the physical.
So you just do that. It seems very slow. But if you enjoy the process and you and you realize the equation, we said it at the beginning, 1.01 to the 365 27 times better yourself. Understanding that any incremental push forward multiplied by the time will yield you a growth more than where you are at the beginning. So let time be, let it compound, the compounding
Yeah,
habit.
compound. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
I'd
mean,
like,
yeah.
Oh.
I mean, yeah. Go. No. Go ahead.
yeah, I'd like to throw a curveball out there.
Yeah.
It's, you know how people, we're talking about instant gratification, we're talking about all these process to become the 1% better every day.
Right.
It's very enticing for a lot of young people out there to, you know, if 1% is achievable, I can do 2, I could do 3, I could do 5. I could
Especially
do
when you
10.
start getting rolling, right?
And so you start rolling, you start overworking yourself, you start doing a lot of things, and that's where 24 hours is not enough in the day. And from your personal experience, I want to know, like, how much
Capacity.
like when is enough?
Like bandwidth, right?
Like when do
Yeah.
you reach a certain threshold that you know you're doing everything, but then like you want to keep doing more, and then it leads to a burnout?
It is a very hard question because it depends on the capacity that person can take. But I think there's a scientific answer to this, which is flow. Have you ever heard of the concept of flow, which is the difficulty of a task that is really in the range that matches your current competence? So you're doing a task that challenges all your competence, but is incrementally a bit harder. So you're like in this perfect concentration where it's not so hard where you're like, what the fuck is this? And it's not too easy where this is passive to you. So if you're focusing on that, just again, that like one layer of cheese, that like very, very thin layer of the difference, the next step, then that's what it's focused on. But when you're saying about how many things you could do at the same time, so it depends, right? Because I would say for me, I'm someone who burns out a lot. Like I have a lot of burnouts because I'm like that. I get involved in a lot of things. Like I'm trying to open a clinic, student clinic, the TED Talk. What's it called? I have a startup. I'm a med student. The med student should be alone. You know, I shouldn't be doing anything. I'm definitely a very bad example, or maybe this is who I am.
Yeah.
But I take on way more than I can hold. But you know, that's my philosophy, because then what it allows me to do is be able to compare when holding many apples at once, which apples I like more, which one's seeking my attention more. So like when I look at this vision of that I had in myself as someone who wanted to open a holistic clinic, and then I look at the vision of myself of wanting to be someone who is a personal development, life strategist, world renowned, like merging science, like science driven, inspired by science or driven by, you know, like personal development, all that, that drives me more. Like that takes my attention more,
passionate. You're more
takes my
passionate about
eyeballs,
it.
you know.
Yeah.
So comparatively, you start to understand what's taking more of your time, and you're like, oh, like I'm doing all these things at once, but this one makes me feel great, so I'm gonna prioritize this one more. Capacity is very interesting. You know, you touched on a little bit the concept of overshooting. Like some people may start taking so much things and then overshoot. They think that they can overdo it, and then they burn out, and then they collapse. I definitely relate to that in the sense. There's wisdom in being able to know that even if you're doing great, to not overshoot, but still maybe have this incremental perspective, but add maybe a double increments rather than just 1%, do a 1.5% or 2, but don't go like 60 or, you know what I mean? Or,
Yeah. So you still have to be realistic.
yeah, of course, you know,
always.
and yeah, this is one of the SMART goals, you know, specific, measurable, actual, and realistic, timely. Yeah, that's what I would say.
You know, Karim, this conversation really resonates with me in my current stage in life.
Yeah.
Because I've accepted a lot of my flaws, and I went through a process where before I was kind of in denial of it. Like I was always a very confident person, and at younger ages, I think that ego was very, you know, a double-edged sword. It motivated me to achieve, but it also kind of was my defense mechanism. When people pointed out my flaws or I encountered failure, I'd be like, you know, I wasn't at 100%, or you know, I'm good at this though, you know, I'm still whatever. And it kind of prevented me from even taking the first step or even accepting that there are steps to take. I thought I was perfect. You know, I thought I already beat the game, you know, just getting like 90% grades on my stupid report card. Right. And so, you know, you kind of did a little demo of how you approach coaching with me and with James on the podcast. And we're very much in that kind of stage of self-reflection where we've accepted a lot of, you know, I think we passed the denial stage. How do you handle clients who might not be there yet?
That's an amazing question. You know, what's so interesting is that self-awareness can be both a blessing and a curse. Because you know, like self-awareness is one of my strengths and limitations, and I'll come back to what you asked. But to explain this, if you're like, you have this really, really well, you're super self-aware, which I, you know, complimented you on several times, because you're able to look at yourself and say, like, I'm shitty at this, I need to do better at this. You understand that. And some people can get to a level of self-awareness where they start doubting themselves and intrusive thoughts, and you're like, because you know what you're doing, you become over-analytical about all what you're doing right now, and how does it fit in the vision that you're trying to achieve. So you become, self-awareness can be a curse, you know. To that, I would say, if someone is having a hard time understanding what is it that their flaws and being in denial, they're in the denial phase. Really, it begins by asking questions that they've never asked themselves before. You know, because the way it precipitates denial, or what makes denial go poof, is matching it with inquiry or questions. So if you think you're at a great, let's say you think you're like, in your example, you're the king of the world because you got 90%. And I tell you, man, okay, how do you, let's say you've been like super delusional, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to be like a billionaire because I got 90%.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, there's a lot of billionaires who didn't get well grades. So how exactly do you think that getting a 90% will get you a billionaire?
Because
And
I'm
you'll have
different.
all sorts of answers, right?
Yeah.
That's a shitty
I'm
ass
different.
answer.
No, but that's like the type of shit I would think.
yeah.
I'm
You're
different.
boosted as fuck, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the more, that's what really a great coach does. A great coach really breaks that denial phase. That's what they do, is asking questions is the answer. You need to, it's really your environment. Someone has to be around you to ask you. If you're great, if you have self-awareness, then you ask it yourself.
Yeah.
You ask it to your diary, you ask it to yourself. But if you don't have that, then you need someone around you to ask you and hold you accountable to your delusions and say, okay, well, you think you're a great public speaker, but you've never given a speech in front of people. So why do you think you're great? Because of this and that. So if you've never tried it, then how do you really know? So those questions, they don't have any a
basis?
layer that holds them. You know, so they'll collapse easily.
They'll find out that they'll fail, and then
Yeah.
they'll find out, like, oh shit.
And
maybe
look,
I wasn't
man,
that
people
person.
are people. There are people who are just, they're stuck in the delusion. They want to live in their heads. And it's definitely, all of us have elements of that.
Yeah,
know?
that's so true, because I think the kind of ego protection, self-defense mechanism really broke down when what I was seeing externally, the outcomes of my life when I graduated, when I was at my work,
Right.
it's not matching up no more. You know, like I can't say with the same level of confidence that I'm the fucking man that I used to think I was. And when that started, like the kind of illusion started to break down, it forced me to ask myself questions. If you think you're this, then why are you achieving this result here? Why are you breaking down here? Why are you, and then it was such an uncomfortable process, man. Like, and I fought against it every step of the way, like clinging on to escapism, clinging on to every little last thing. I'm always great socially. So I found during that time, I would seek kind of the nightlife, the party, the social, because that's where I felt the most validated, and avoid things that, like, keep avoiding things that make me feel uncomfortable because I wasn't achieving the way I hope to achieve. And that's just a vicious cycle, because if you keep avoiding those things, you get worse and worse and worse and worse at all of them, until one day I just couldn't take it. Like I couldn't keep kind of lying to myself almost. And then I started asking the questions. Why? Where did it first go wrong? What is, where is this coming from? And, I just was lucky enough to kind of go through it myself. Like the process happened organically during COVID, like literally by myself. It was, and I when I was able to connect with someone I really respected, cared for, we had that conversation in the car. That's when I felt the motivation, like, okay, everything's clicking. I can take a step forward. Other people are going through this. And I think that is so helpful where you're coming from as life coaching. You're saying, like, it's so much easier when there's someone else who is there for you.
Yeah. Just to say, I do like performance coaching, because life coaching is a bit different.
Performance coaching, yeah.
When you were talking about, the conversation you had with James, it's really introspection. Introspection is what beats delusion. Is really, or being questioned by other people. It's really by testing your assumptions, or all the things you think about yourself, and asking the deep questions to yourself. That's what's going to make you realize, I don't have answers to this. Because if you don't do it, life will do it for you. But some people never take that step outside their comfort zone, so they think they're kings of the world.
Do you think men especially struggle with this?
With what exactly?
Like getting to that introspection. Because I feel like
I don't think it's
that conversation.
Just to men,
But for me, that conversation with you, we were friends for a long time, but I never felt like
deep.
It was hard for me to be that vulnerable.
Right. Okay.
And to take that step as a guy, because as guys, you know, we compete. We like our relationship was through competition, through basketball, through video games, through you know, and in that
never,
kind of dynamic, we never opened up to each other.
No, never.
The after that car ride, our relationship completely changed.
Right.
Like I felt comfortable being vulnerable and stuff.
Yeah.
But when I was young, especially when I was younger, it was just like, oh,
Man.
you know, I don't need you. I don't need.
I used to
this,
see him
don't
on the
need that.
bus.
Yeah.
I used to see him on the bus. We didn't really know each other, but we'd
I'd
just
be
say
like,
hi.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It was
That's
just
what
like
you-
we never talked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
We always had an
crazy.
ego, you know,
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
clash.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why your friends they can play a big role in your life. The people around you. Is if you're surrounded with people who don't reflect on their position in life, their strengths, their weaknesses, or you're not either, you know. But if you have someone who makes you feel that seeking discomfort is normal, or being uncomfortable is that's really showing you that you can be comfortable with being uncomfortable. When someone else tells you, "Oh, like me too, I also struggle with so and so, and they're more successful than you," it makes you realize that even those that are successful and you look up to have their doubts, and that when you're running away from your doubts, you don't need to. Like what I'm trying to say, I'll give you an example. Like when you think that you're a great, let's say, entrepreneur. Yeah, but let's say you think you're gonna be a great entrepreneur and you're gonna kill it, and you're gonna be like that person who made it big for your family, but you never opened a business, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And you keep labeling yourself as an entrepreneur. What happens is you overcompensate in your behavior to feed that ego, that image, the self-image, right? And then if an entrepreneur comes and you talk to them, and you're like a super humble guy, whatever, like you're having a great conversation, and then you're like, "What do you do for a living?" Like, "I'm an entrepreneur." And you're like, "Why aren't you as acting with the same level of cockiness as me?" It makes you realize that the reason why they're not overcompensating in their behavior is because they've actually done it.
Yeah.
They don't need to prove anything.
Yeah.
They're so comfortable in their skin because they've already proved to themselves that they're capable. They are entrepreneurs. They don't need to show you they're entrepreneurs because they are entrepreneurs. But if you're in the delusional phase, you need to show you're an entrepreneur.
Very interesting.
You know?
It's funny you mentioned that. There's actually a psychological term called that, where you hit a curve where you think you know everything, and as soon as you discover that you don't know anything, you learn new things and your level of knowledge drops down to nothing. Like you feel like you know nothing anymore.
Right.
It's like you first learn about basketball, you're like, "Oh, I know everything," and then suddenly some professional comes around and tells you about different topics. You're like, "Oh fuck, I don't know anything anymore."
Or
Right.
destroys the shit out of
It
you. on the
destroys your
court,
ego.
Yeah.
But I wanted to come back to the topic because it's really interesting. You mentioned friends, because friends really influence how you go about things. I know I have two groups of friends. I like to call the first group my hype men. People, Shashi, Kevin, I say, "Let's jump off a bridge." They go, "Let's do it." But then I also have my anchors, people like Steffi, people like my sister, that you say, "Let's jump off a bridge." And like, "No, you're fucking stupid."
You need
And it's a
both.
good balance that you have to have.
Right.
And it's so important for people who want to pursue their things in life to have certain people. And I know for you as a med student,
Yeah.
it's hard to be around certain people because they have this linear thinking. How did you find that network of people around you that really helped you like 10x your game?
That's amazing. The first step I took personally was to reflect on what is it that I wanted to do and what I wanted to be. And then I said, where do these people chill? What do they do? You're like, what do they wear? Who do they talk to? Where do they hang out on the weekends? You know? So by understanding that, let's say, for example, in my pursuit of wanting to be a TED speaker, that's a good example. It's easy. The first step is like, okay, I want to be a TED speaker. Okay, who do I need to talk to? A TED speaker, you know? So I'm like, how do I find a TED speaker? LinkedIn, easy, TEDx. Okay, who in LinkedIn? Maybe I'll filter Montreal, filter people who have connections with me. Oh, this person has a connection with me.
Yeah, easy.
I go connect. Oh, I've heard you from so-and-so. Completely bullshitting.
Yeah.
But like,
Name
you know,
drop.
that's the game, you know?
Yeah.
cold message, and then 10 out of 10, maybe the ratio is like now people answer. Look, it's like maybe I've done things in my life, but maybe at the beginning it was like 10 email. I have a ratio, it's 10 to 1. 10 sent to 1 person replies,
Yeah,
you know? So I had that thumb rule. So I didn't mind when I sent 10, 20, that if I got 1, 2 back, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Then I would ask them what they did to get there. And it's crazy. Like they'll tell you, why don't you join the so-and-so club with Toastmasters?
Toastmasters,
For example. And then I did that. And so just like little advice that they could give you inside will just get you closer. And then then when you're in that environment, let's say in Toastmasters, now you're with a group of people who are much more knowledgeable about public speaking than if you're sitting at a cafe, right? And then they can refer you to a person, then you get into an inner circle. And it's just like you get closer and closer.
Compounds.
Yeah. But I do want to touch on what you were referring to at the beginning about environmental influence. Okay. There was a phase in my life where I almost realized that if I wanted to do anything, I did this approach where I was like, I'm not going to focus on me. I'm going to focus on my environment. Okay. So I would say, okay, well, I want to start gymming more. Okay. Let's give that easy example. Instead of thinking, okay, I need to buy this shoe, I need to learn this diet, whatever, I said, for the next 3 weeks, I am going to have at least 3 phone calls with someone who gyms and tell them, or like have, or go see them, go chill with them, not to gym, but to talk. And over time, just hanging out with them and asking them, why do you gym? And why would you what was your motivation? They'll change your perspective.
Like Goody? Is that what you had a conversation with Goody?
For what?
Like for working out, I don't know.
No, it wasn't about gym. No,
it wasn't about gym? Okay. I don't know. Maybe he had some tips or something.
No, yeah, super buff.
Yeah.
But environmental engineering is everything. I'll give you another example about cues. So let's say you want to go to the gym. Yeah. If you put I don't know, I don't recommend everybody does this, but if you put a picture of yourself with a 6-pack and you're
like you Photoshop your face, you cut your face out on the 6-pack,
and then you put your gym clothes under it. You put a rack and you put your gym clothes tidy every day with the shoes on and the socks. Yeah. So all you need to do is change and go.
Bag,
It's minimizing the activation energy needed to start a habit. Can have a huge role, and environmental engineering does that not just by, being in the right place or having the right friends, but also, but actually not only having the right friends, but being in the right place, being the right medium that is required for you to do your achieve your vision. It's crazy. It's I would go chaotic in this. So I'll stick post notes on my door, and I'll say like pack here, like gym clothes with you or whatever, and that visual cue will remind me. Oh yeah, I need
that's what I do with the post-its, right?
Yeah,
for my tasks.
Yeah.
I see it. Okay, I got to do it.
Yeah, it's cue, craving, rewards. So the whole Atomic Habits book is split into these 3 phases. How do you make your cues so visible and easy to see?
Undeniable.
Right. Yeah. How do you make your craving or like the enjoyment you're getting from it maximized? Or the craving is like, how do you once you see the cue, how do you strengthen the pull to it? Maybe by doing it with a friend, maybe by having an accountability partner, etc. And the reward, once you do it, how do you reward yourself? And either that by going out or
ordering Uber Eats.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But that's the idea, is like focusing on these 3 phases and engineering your environment to make those things easier. Propels you forward, like on autopilot, passively, actively, but like easier. It's like you have a current under you as you're swimming. It's pushing you. And you all feel this, right? Like if you have 5 friends all talking about money, suddenly you're going to start talking about money. So if let's say you hate jazz, let's say, and you go out with a friend who always listens to jazz, the first day you're like, what the fuck, I don't want to listen to this. The second day you're like, oh, whatever. By the 3rd or 4th day, you're stamping your foot. There's no way. You always mold into your environment. So when I realized that, I was like, whoa. So let me focus on my environment only. Let me just focus on my environment. And really, that was actually the thing that I did first. Who am I chilling with the most? Like the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with? Yes. Who are the 5 most people? I changed that. What's like when in my journey of becoming someone like Tony Robbins, what would he say to an answer like that? And I would like think about how he would answer it, and I would be more like him. So I was just like molding myself into the vision of who I want to be, and surrounding yourself with the people and the place, and doing the habits that someone who would be like the ideal example of what you want to do is doing. So just mold yourself into the person.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're heavily influenced by your environment,
Right.
Like that's what science is, right?
Yeah.
You're not just born with it.
Yeah.
You could also be influenced by it, right?
Right. That's huge, by the way.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
You know, if you like want to find something cool, there's something called epigenetics, which is that your environment and your actions influence which genes are passed on to your kids. So, for example,
Oh shit.
in the Great Depression, yeah. So, like in the Great Depression,
Yeah.
the children of the people in Great Depression was a lot of famine.
Yeah.
The children, they had a predisposition to be obese because the genes of storing let's say food energy and storing into fat, though the people who had the strongest in that was what was needed for survival, so it was passed down. So your environment has a direct impact not only on you but on your progeny, on the next generation.
Yeah.
And so that's why people who are like children of athletes are also pretty athletic. They do the genes, and the opposite is true. If your dad's like super athletic but you start smoking,
Yeah.
your children are gonna not print the genes that your father was printing as well as their father was. You know?
I mean, I'm a product of that, right?
Yeah.
My grandpa smoked, my dad smoked.
Yeah.
Now I smoke, right?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely.
It could be. It is definitely environment, and
Yeah.
it could be genetic too, like in the blood, right?
Yeah.
Like the nicotine. I don't know.
But that's
Could
interesting.
it be? Yeah.
I mean, nicotine can maybe be an impact on which genes are being expressed, and
Like,
that's being passed down.
Modified. I
Yeah,
don't know if it
yeah,
does that.
yeah. Man, we could go hours on how you're socially influenced as a human being, and you can see that more in twin studies. So you have twins, they have identical twins,
Yep.
identical genes, same canvas,
Yeah.
right? Same identical canvas.
Yeah. Genetically.
Two
right?
different experiences of environment.
Yeah.
Even in the same household, one father pays attention to one of them more. They'll grow up to be different people.
Crazy. Yeah.
Crazy.
It does happen. I hear stories.
Yeah. So your environment is, I would say, even a bigger like Gen X is the confinement, is the parameter, but your environment is everything you can do in between. Like if I chill with people who are NBA players, I'm never gonna become an NBA player. I don't have the genes for it. You know, I'm not like super tall, right? Or I can dunk or jump high. But if I chill with people who are doing things that are extraordinary in the genetic confinement of what I'm capable of doing, that's
You could be a great shooter.
or at least
Yeah.
or like better
Dribbler,
than average
yeah.
of my average.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So Karim, just to wrap it up, what would you say you want people to take away from this episode to start taking the first steps
Right.
of taking the actions? You know, we started off with, you know, getting to the action of self-improvement.
Number one, three things. Number one, reorient your ideal self. When you think about the ideal version of yourself and you're daydreaming and you think about all the Bugattis or Rolls Royce, whatever, you know, for me, it's
I feel
Top G,
attacked.
bro?
I feel attacked.
for me, it's being on stage
Yeah.
and people clapping for me.
Yeah.
And like, oh man, this helped me so much to save my life. Like that's what I'm getting high on, all
Yeah.
these thoughts.
Yeah.
But then change your ideal self, lower it to something that is very close to your real self, but is only incrementally different. So the second thing would be focus on incremental change, which is that in anything you do, even on the days where you don't feel like doing it, still do 1%, still do something towards it. If you don't want to go to the gym, like you're out, just pack your gym clothes for tomorrow. You know, like just don't do zero. You know,
0.1.
don't punish yourself for not doing many. Punish yourself for doing zero. You know, just
Yep.
do more than zero.
Yep.
And the third thing, engineer your environment. Be very conscious of your environment, how it's influencing you, your diet, not in the nutrient sense, but in everything you're intaking, what you're watching, what you're
You're
hearing,
listening, right?
everything in
Yeah.
your receptors. Because your receptors, they sense the outside world. They have nerves. So they're your palpation for everything you're experiencing. And whatever you're experiencing
Yeah.
rewires your brain.
Yeah.
So if you're an amazing singer and you're around people who think you're you're shit.
Yeah.
You're gonna think you're shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's because that's all you hear. You know,
Shit.
so yeah, that's it. So reorient your ideal self, focus on incremental change, and engineer your environment. Those are 3 things.
Wow. Beautifully
Bang.
put.
Bang,
Beautifully put.
Yeah, I'd like to wrap up. I know Kevin already asked a wrap
No,
up
for
question, but I don't know when we're gonna see you again. So
Go for it.
I had this question where I don't know if it was obvious to you, but our podcast name is Kill Your Pride, and you did mention a lot about seeking the environment to help you out, seeking
Right.
that. And it brings back to the topic where Kevin wanted to create a podcast. He didn't know who to go with. He went to James, who was creative. James and Kevin didn't know how the fuck to do audio production. So they came to me for everything. But I
Environment.
wanted to understand, like, you as a growth coach and you knowing where to get a person 10x their performance. It's like, when do you have to let go of your ego? When do you need to seek out help? Because yes, you can go to the gym every single day, but you can never reach a result. When is it that you have to tell yourself that, hey, I really need a coach? Hey, I really need a trainer,
Some guidance at least.
some
Right.
guidance,
Yeah.
a mentor.
Are you asking when do you admit to yourself that you need help?
Yeah.
Basically, it's really the best way I would put it is that if you feel egoistic, it's because you're not around strong opponents. You're not around the opponents that are to your level. So let me explain this. Okay, so let's say you think you're a great speaker. It's because in front of your friends you're a great speaker.
Yeah.
The opponent level doesn't match your level, so you need harder opponents. If you're so
You're smurfing.
yeah, like I'll give you a personal example. I gave a TED talk, right? So I thought, I'm an amazing public speaker. Well,
Yeah.
and what I thought, I went to a Toastmasters last week. That was like top tier. Like everyone is super awesome what they do. I sat there. I'm like, I'm not the best one in the room here.
Yeah.
But if I was sitting with my friends, I think I'm the best in
Yeah.
public speaking because of my ego.
Yeah.
So the idea is you really need to, if you feel comfortable that you're amazing at something, it's because you are not in the arena that challenges you really. You're a yellow belt in Taekwondo fighting white belts rather than fighting, I don't know, what's that, green belt or something. you
It's
know?
too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to have people to look up to that make you feel insecure. And that ego will
That pushes you.
dissolve, and then you're going to become, help me. There's no other way.
Yeah.
Because you're going to submit to realizing that you're lower than what, like,
Wow.
and that's how it comes. You just need to change your environment really and challenge yourself. It's very easier said than done, And look, at the end, there are different people. Like nothing. There's no way in hell that I could say something where 100% of the people on the earth are going to be able to take what I'm saying, and then they're gonna just really. A lot of it comes to just drive and wanting to be a greater person, wanting to do that. Maybe genetics, maybe environment. There's a lot that's into it, but engineer your environment can really help you with that.
Yeah. So I guess just lesson learned. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong
You're
room.
in the wrong room,
Man,
baby.
you get the best quotes, man. I don't know how you do this. You're
It's
like,
my
what's
father,
up?
actually.
Wow, it's
It's
amazing.
my dad. He tells me all these things.
You're so
and-
good at that. I love that, man. So it adds so much oomph to the,
does, it does.
Yeah.
And so, I think to wrap it up, my name is Danny. I'm with my co-host.
James.
Kevin.
And
Karim, Atassi.
yes,
Nice.
and again, where can we find you again?
I mean, if you want to find me on social media, you can just type my name, Karim Atassi, on Instagram. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is for my people who are go-getters trying to drive. That's where you find that type of content. Instagram is just me being me. And then if you want to book a session with me for us to talk and understand how committed you are to actually getting to the next step, you just calendly.com/Karim Atassi.
All right, and remember,
KYP.
Kill your pride, baby.